Today's guest just sent a shockwave to the British establishment.
I'm a little bit busy in Gorton and Denton, pounding those streets, handing out leaflets and trying to get people to vote for Advance UK.
He's officially announced he's running for MP, and trust me, the political class did not see this one coming.
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a local grooming gang inquiry. Just local. I want to know which officers, which council staff covered this up, ignored it, turned a blind eye. And we'll get that information and we'll get the proof that we've done this. I'll be naming them in Parliament.
Is a regular man from Manchester trying to bring serious principled politics to the stage.
Because it's not really fair for the public to wait another 2, 3, 4 years before they judge their MP. You should be judging them basically on a monthly basis and telling them this isn't good enough. Because they're our boss. They'll be my boss. And any job you do, your boss tells you all the time if you're doing good or bad. And that's what the public need to be doing to MPs. And I'll implement that there.
In this episode, we'll dive deep into his life and who this man really is, and also try to understand why this is the conversation that the British elites don't want to have.
Whoever wins this by-election, it will not change the country. Because it's one by-election. But if they vote the right person in, it'll change the area.
His name, Nick Buckley. Ladies and gentlemen, patriots, truth seekers, digital warriors, welcome back to the show. As you already know, this is not a regular broadcast. Of course, the censorship machine is back on us again. Yeah, we got Nick Buckley here, and of course, they will do anything and everything to make sure they sabotage the system so this doesn't go forward. But regardless of what they do, we're going to go forward anyway, because we are defiance to the system, as always. So, Nick, catch me up. Well, I'm sure the people probably... I know the people who watch this show, they are all glued in. So, I'm sure they didn't forget anything that we were talking about. So I think we should just carry on from where we were. You were talking about the rough sleeping, the charity. And just before you got into it, you know, something happened. The system just went off. It kicked you out of the studio. It stopped everything from working, and now it's working. And hopefully it can work to the very end. But let's carry on with the conversation then. You were talking about the charities and how you got yourself there. Please.
Sure. So the second project we set up was about rough sleeping. And I did that for many years. We got about 100 rough sleepers off the streets. Some of those rough sleepers, we got them all into accommodation. Some of them we got into drug rehab. And then about, another 70, 80 former rough sleepers, we got into jobs. We got into jobs on building sites in the city centre to change their lives. And it was the same tactic. It was about sitting on street corners with these individuals, trying to find out why they're there, what's gone wrong, why they're broken. And these individuals have been broken for a long time, 20, 30 years, mainly mental health issues. Then they start taking drugs to lessen the pain. So they become drug addicts, which breaks them even more. Yeah. So then they need more drugs to compensate for the more pain. Exactly. And it's a vicious circle.
Dangerous.
And absolutely. And the reason why we set that project up for me was I don't want to live in a country where we allow our fellow citizens to live and die on the streets, where people are quite happy stepping over them to get to the shop. And, it's really complicated. It's not easy to solve this problem. I understand that. I understand it better than most people. But just because something's difficult, it doesn't mean we don't try. Yeah, it doesn't mean we don't aim to get better and better and find new solutions and enforce old solutions. But we've got to a stage in this country now where we've given up. We say things like, oh, they want to live on the streets. It's a lifestyle choice. And it's like, no, it's not a lifestyle choice. These people are broken. They're dying. And you think they've chosen to die on the streets? No, we just need to be better. And we need our public services to be better and offer better services, because at the moment, this is across the country, councils will go to rough sleepers and go, this is our project. Do you want it? And they go, no, thank you. Okay, bye bye. It's like, is that it? Is that all you're going to do? Is offer them something? They're too broken to understand they need something. You've
Yeah.
got to work. We used to work with these people for like sometimes 6 months before they would take help off us. And we'd try every day, every week. And sometimes it takes 6 months. And what used to change these people's minds would be catching them on the right day, as in the night before they just got battered. And you catch them the next day, it's like, I will take help because I'm actually scared. Catch him the next day, high as a kite again, and not really bothered about being assaulted. So it's about going back every day. And don't our fellow citizens deserve that?
Yeah, I think every single person deserve that in the country. Yes. Do you think it's because they when they're out in the street they kind of build a routine where they feel like although they're numbed to the pain to understand that this is not the alternative, this is not the best thing for them. But because they've been there for so long, they also think there's no other way or anything better than being out there. And also because it's easy for them to access the things that has got them in that place, meaning like drugs and doing all doing the things that you wasn't doing before, but they got hooked now to the point where they feel like they gotta keep it going, and the moment they come out of it, they're gonna lose all the friendship, they're gonna lose all the drugs, and then they're gonna be new people. And the idea of being new is like so scary. They rather just stay the same. Do you think that's the issue there?
Yes. The issue we have is not accommodation. The issue we have is not how much money we're spending. The issue is we have broken people who have created a lifestyle that feeds into them being broken, which is the drugs, living on the streets. And they then design subconsciously coping mechanisms for that.
Right.
So they'll
Yeah.
say to people, I'm fine living on the streets. I'm fine, because they've learned that then means people walk away and leave them alone. But once you look into their eyes and they're saying, I'm fine, you can tell by their eyes they're not fine.
Yeah.
The saddest thing you ever hear is you sat talking to a rough sleeper and they say to you, I'm sorry I was ever born. For someone to get that low, I'm sorry I was ever born. I've done, and it's hard work, but we
Wait,
never should give up on anybody.
so somebody will say, "I'm sorry, I was ever born." Are they indicating that them being there is like a burden to you trying to help them out?
What they mean is they've been a burden to everybody they love. I've let them all down. I've let my parents down. I've let my wife down. I've let my friends down. I've stole things off my sister for drugs. People now look at me as a nobody. The world would have been a better place if I'd never been born. That's what
Yeah,
they mean.
that is deep. That is super deep.
Yeah.
Something that needs
Let me
to be
tell you
tackled
something.
for sure.
Yeah.
Go on.
Let me tell you something even deeper. So, I remember seeing a guy on Deansgate in Manchester, and never seen him before. So I sat down talking to him and seeing what help he needed. And it's an initial conversation. We don't, we're just trying to get to know him to begin with. You can't go, do you want help? I can get you a whole. It's like, no. What's your name? How are you? I'll chat to you another day. It's that's the approach you do the first time. And we was on a conversation, and he said to me, I'm better than a rat. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he went, well, rats have to climb through bins to find the stuff people don't want. I'm better than a rat. People give me stuff they don't want. At least I'm better than a rat. And when you analyze that, that's quite deep.
Yeah,
He knows. Yeah, because when you sat with homeless people, you'd be surprised what people do. The amount of people who've come up and given someone a half-eaten sandwich, or someone from an office will come with sandwiches from the board meeting and go, oh, we don't need these, you can have them. And then they're doing it from a good place. I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But the message that sends is, the crap I don't want is good enough for you.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
over time, that really damages you psychologically. Hence why he knows at least he's better. There's a pecking order in the world. I'm
That
better
is,
than ever.
yeah, I've never looked at it that way. I think I'm sure a lot of my viewers are probably stung to hear something like that because um, they also, I'm sure they are very forgiving and giving people here who watch us. I'm sure they kind of help out homeless too, so they probably feel that way too. Because
Mm,
yeah, I understand what that might do to them because that is insane to see it that way, and that's exactly what's happening.
mm,
We can't deny it. That's exactly what's happening. So then you set up this charity, yeah, and then what
mm.
happens next? How do you detach from that? What happens? Because right now you're not running the charity, so there must be something that took place
Yeah.
to take you away from that.
Yep. And there's three words for that, and that's Black Lives Matter.
Right.
So if we fast forward to June 2020, a career criminal in America is dead on the streets. The UK goes crazy. BLM is everywhere. And I said to myself, I've never heard of BLM, but I think I'm not sure if I've heard of it. I don't know. So I Googled it, found the organization, found their website, and I wrote an article on the website because I didn't like what I read. And I thought, no one else knows about this. They all think it's an anti-racist organization about police violence. But when you read the website, it's overthrow capitalism, defund the police. And the biggest red flag for me was this: deconstruct the Western nuclear family. And I remember
Wow.
going, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Deconstruct the Western nuclear family. And studied it and I realized, I know what that means. It means less fathers in the family.
Yeah.
That's what that means. Less
Yeah.
men about.
Yeah.
And I went, no, that's the biggest problem we have in the Western world is a lack of fathers at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't approve this running this charity, knowing that's the biggest issue. So I wrote an article about it, about this is what Black Lives Matter stands for, based on their website, not a conspiracy theory website, their website.
Right.
And the second half of the article was, and if we want to improve Black lives in the UK, this is what I would do. We will tackle female genital mutilation. We will tackle knife crime. It's appalling that we allow young Black men to die in pools of their own blood. And nobody will tackle it because everyone's scared of being called racist. So let them die. As long as they don't affect my career, let them die. That's why the police and the government won't tackle knife crime. It's for that reason. So I wrote an article about that. And straight away, Nick Buckley was a Nazi. Nick Buckley was a racist. The whole world turned against me. And the board of the charity I founded, I appointed a board, which you need legally. They were three friends of mine. And through cowardice, they went, oh, the online mob came for me. A petition was set up to have me fired, to have my MBE stripped from me. And the three board members went, if we don't give them Nick's head, they may come for us. Let's give him Nick's head. So they sacrificed me to the online mob. What they should have realized was, I'm not going to take that lying down. I've had a gun pointed in my face. I've got 19 stitches in my head where I was assaulted with an iron bar. I'm not a tough man, but I'm not a coward. So I took the board on. And in 5 weeks, I made them resign in disgrace. We appointed a new board and they gave me my job back. And that sounds like a victory, but it wasn't, because within 6 months, a year, I had to resign from the charity because children in need, the local councils, the local housing associations who are funding all the projects all said, we're never funding this charity if Nick Buckley's involved because he's still a racist. So I had to walk away from the charity to save it. And that was an easy thing to do. The charity does great work. It was never about me. So that politicized me then, because I said to myself, if this can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And not everybody will be able to fight back. And not everybody will have the luck. I got lots of luck. The Mail on Sunday did a piece on me. The Free Speech Union took up my case. I got lots of luck to fight back and be vindicated.
Right.
But most people haven't got that luck. So I need to carry on fighting for them.
Yeah,
Because
true.
the issue we have in our country now, really is about fairness. We don't live in a fair country anymore now. I don't like the word equality. And I definitely don't like the word equity. I don't like them because me and you will never be equal for many reasons. You know, we'll never be equal. But do you know what? Things can be fair. So let's have a fair society as opposed to an equal society. And a fair society to me is where everybody gets a chance to do what they want, live the life they want, go for opportunities. That's a fair society, but we
Right.
haven't got that now. So, and
Right.
the irony is,
Go on.
the last point is, the irony is, roll on 6 years, and everything I said about Black Lives Matter, everybody says now about Black Lives Matter. And that's
Right.
the irony. That organization changed and ruined my life. And now everybody agrees with me that they were a nasty, racist, Marxist organization who, I didn't know at the time, involved in major fraud.
Right. If we're gonna dive deep into it, especially the knife crime, I think let's do that now. So knife crime,
Yeah.
you see, there's a lot of people who well, a lot of guys. Personally, myself, I've known a couple guys, not a couple, I'll say one, who from Muston, who was stabbed in 2000 and I think 2022 or 2023.
Yeah.
And I also know of a guy who I knew who's serving life in jail because, you know, he went out there and stabbed somebody. So I know a couple people who have stabbed each other, who some of them are in jail for life and some are dead. So I understand how dangerous, how serious this knife crime really is. Now, you mentioned that the police, the reason why they do not want to tackle the knife crime is because they're scared of being branded racist if they approach it in a manner where it needs to be approached as.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that they rather save their jobs than to be called racist or than to actually do the job. Could you dive deep on that? Because obviously that was just a statement that you made. Could you tell me more about that? And what is there any sort of credible stuff that you've seen that suggests so, not just an opinion?
Of course. So our knife, I mean, we've had a knife crime problem for a while. It really ramped up after 2014.
Yeah.
Why 2014? Because the Tories, Theresa May, heavily reduced stop and search. She said to the police, it is a bit racist to be stopping young black men, so let's heavily reduce it. So they reduced stop and search. What happened? Knife crime took off. More young black men got stabbed and died and went to jail. To look at why they're doing it, I mean, let's look at it this way. Why do you think we had 30 years of the grooming gangs where mostly Pakistani Muslim men raped mostly white working class girls and the police did nothing? They did nothing because they want to be called racist. It would affect their careers. So if they're quite happy turning a blind eye to the mass rape of little white girls, do you think they're going to turn a blind eye to young black men stabbing each other on the street? Their careers are more important. That's the police side of it. But the police will do as they're told by politicians. But the politicians also don't want it happening because every time they try to do something, they're called racist. They're scared they're going to lose votes. Yeah. And what we need to do to solve this problem is a major part of it is stop and search, but to get over being called racist. Because I've spoken to lots of mums and dads who have lost children, who are scared of their children being stabbed in the future. Yeah. And even the parents who are black are all saying, I want more stop and search. I'd rather my son gets inconvenienced a little bit than him being lying on the floor bleeding out. And the way we stop this and the way we stop the word racism being politicized is we need to go to every local area, every community. Every year we have local elections. We need to have a referendum in every local election that asks people, do you want more or less stop and search in this neighborhood? And if the people vote for more stop and search, which they will,
yeah, exactly.
Then when the police are accused of racism, the police go, no, the people who live in this area by a democratic vote have asked us to do more stop and search because they love their children. So we're doing what the public are asking us to do. There'll be a couple of race baiters in the area, people who make money sowing division, and they'll say, oh, it's racist. And we'll just go to them. Well, the people in this area, mostly black people, mostly whatever, they voted for this. So we're
Yeah,
just doing what we're told. We need to get the
yeah,
politics out of this because young men are dying.
yeah. True. I totally agree with that because a lot of black parents for sure would agree that we need to stop every single person, young, black, white, Asian, and we
Mm,
need to stop and search. Yeah, I'll prefer somebody stopping me, regardless what I'm how I look. If I'm wearing a
mm,
tracksuit, if I'm wearing a suit, I'll prefer them stopping me. And I get inconvenient, and I'm like, oh, I'm in a rush, blah blah blah, and give them a
mm.
little thing. I'll prefer them doing that, going through the hassle and then the search, than the police just letting someone walk past and later on one guy's dead, and then they have to
Yep.
go tell their parents that, hey, your son's been stabbed, and we could have stopped it, but we don't want to be racist. I think every single
Yeah.
parents will. I think every single parents will prefer a police officer hitting their son in the face than so they can make it at home, back to the
Yeah.
house. I think this idea of
Exactly.
calling somebody racist because they're out there trying to enforce a law, it's not a thing. And also because a lot of people, I see why there's a lot of people who say it's racist because they think it's targeted to black people. Well, yeah, because obviously they contribute a lot of the knife crime. They do a lot
Yeah.
of a lot of these trapping. And you can kind of sense, obviously. I mean, I know a couple of people who have stabbed each other. Yeah, I know a couple of people who have died. So I
Mm,
understand, like, I'm most likely to be stabbed by a black man than a white
mm.
man. So I need all the black people to be stopped and searched. For my
Yeah.
for my safety, I want all black people to be stopped and searched. If that's gonna increase my chance of me hitting 90 years old,
Yeah.
if that's gonna decrease the chance of me dying in the street. So yeah, I do
Mm.
understand, but don't you think it's kind of like insensitive for them to prioritize their career than somebody else's son who they took an oath to protect?
Absolutely. Our police are failing. Our police have been failing for decades and decades. They're not the police force I used to work with 20 years ago. I used to be based in police stations at one point. I've trained police officers. I've created award winning projects for Greater Manchester Police. I've won awards off Greater Manchester Police when I worked for the council. Um, but we have a police force now that isn't about the public. Their priorities are not our priorities. Their priorities are political priorities, free speech, demonstrations. How many police now do you see on YouTube knocking on someone's door? You posted something hurty on Facebook. It's like, that's never a police job. While violent crime is going up, stabbings are going up, sexual assaults are through the roof. So the police have been failing for decades. And because they're failing, police officers, we're recruiting the wrong types of people, we're promoting the wrong types of people. And this is the public service we have now. They're
Yeah,
not fit for purpose.
yeah, I totally agree with that to some extent. Now, I want to get into your policies because you announced that you're running. I don't know, just in case the people who don't know, you're running to become a MP for Gorton and Denton, a place where I've visited multiple times, a places where I got a couple friends who live there, who will be quite, I don't know what if they see this video, they will decide for
Yeah.
themselves. In regard to knife crime, you said that you will use a part of your salary to fund an on street project to tackle knife crime and youth violence. Could you tell me more
Yeah.
about that? How does that look like? Because you're getting 90K a year, or maybe £93,000 a year. How much would that be?
96.
96 now. See, they
Yeah.
getting so politicians always getting a raise, right? Last time I checked, it was
Yeah.
93. Okay, cool. An extra 3,000. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't need £96,000 to live on. I don't. I need some money. I'm not a millionaire. I can't give away all of it, but I don't need 96 grand. So I'm going to fund for every month I'm in power. I'm going to fund an on the streets youth project that'll be working, 2 evenings a week across the area, evenings and weekends. And it'll basically be the project I used to run for the charity. That's basically what it's going to be. Specially trained youth workers going out, engaging young people, liaising with the police, liaising with parents, trying to make sure young people aren't in dangerous areas, trying to get young people who tell us they're carrying knives to hand them over so we can dispose of them. explaining to young people how to avoid conflict, how to avoid tit for tat online, where suddenly you've disrespected someone and they're out now looking for you to stab you. So trying to give them the information they need to keep themselves safe. And also trying to take the physical knives off the street as well. Because as an MP, I don't want to sit in front of an upset mum trying to explain why I wasn't good enough as an MP to stop her child being stabbed to death in the area. So I've got to do something, and that'll be a project that will work. And, you know, I'm not saying it'll cure everything. It won't cure everything. It's only one project, but at least it'll be a start. And if it's working, maybe we can get more donations into it. Maybe businesses will want to sponsor it, and then we can have it running 5 nights a week or 7 nights a week.
So
But the days of doing nothing have to be over.
I mean, we already spend millions of pounds in these projects to tackle knife crime. We already
Yeah.
have these projects going on. Why can't we just
But they
get
don't
those
work
guys to actually do the work and produce results?
because I've worked with council youth workers, and this is not all council youth workers, but it's a big majority of them. And they say things like, I don't want to work on the streets. I want to work in a youth club. I don't want to work on a Friday night or a Saturday night in a youth club. I want to be out with my friends. So council youth workers don't want to work where the times they should be working and
Then
the
you fire them.
places they should be working. Well, councils don't sack anybody because it's a political organisation. If I ran the council, I'd be sacking people because we should be sacking them. It should be in their contract. You're contracted to work every Friday, Saturday night on the streets. And if you don't want to do it, don't take the job. But it's not in their contract because
I mean, that's the way it should be, because obviously because it's a job just like every single person who has a job, who work. So if we give you a role and your job is to protect this group of people, or your job is to do this, you got to do it regardless of what time it is. It's like working night shift. If you apply for that job and you say, oh, I don't like going out at night, I don't like leaving my house at nighttime, then you'll be fired. So and we saw a need to, because the money still gets spent. That's the crazy thing, because the money is still going out our cards, you know, the taxpayers' money is still being spent on these councils, but then no result has been produced. And just to go back to what you mentioned, that you're going to use half of your salary or part of your salary to fund this street project. Don't you think, since there is already people who meant to be doing that, don't you think you should just pressure those guys to do it, and then you can actually focus on your actual job as an MP?
Oh, absolutely. So as an MP, I have no say over the councils. Councils are independent from the MP. But what I can do is embarrass them. What I can do is find out the information and tell the public that, did you know we're spending £100,000 on anti-knife crime stuff, and it's a Tuesday afternoon when all the kids are at school? Well, yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? So another thing I'm going to do when I'm the MP, I'm going to set up a waste and incompetence hotline where people who work for the council, there's lots of good people work for the council, but it's not their fault they can't do what needs to be done. They're told by their bosses. I want them reporting to me anonymously how the council are wasting your money, and I'm going to make it public, and I'm going to force the councils to improve through embarrassment. I'll be naming senior officers, I'll be naming politicians, and I'll be telling the people who vote for them, this is what you're voting for. You need to start voting for different people if you want better services from your council, because this is how they're wasting your money. And every year they put your council tax up, and every year the services get worse and worse and worse. And if you're going to vote for the same people, expect the same service.
Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna like that for sure. They're not gonna like you for sure. But it's important that it's done, because obviously I think a lot of people have had enough. A lot of people are tired in seeing the same thing over and over and over again. A lot of people want something different. We want to be
What
represented.
people need to understand is I'm not a politician. I'm a street fighter. I'm not a politician. Right. If you want someone polished who's going to look good in Parliament asking the Prime Minister a question, I'm not that person. If you want someone in Parliament who gets up and shouts at the Prime Minister, that is a waste of space. And why haven't you got this? And why aren't you doing that? If you want a street fight in Parliament, I'm your man. If you want an MP that will fight for you, who will take the police chief constable on, which I've done many times, complained about the police and put complaints in about the police incompetence. If you want that, I'm your man. If you want someone to take on the council, the leader, and tell them they're incompetent and tell them they're wasting millions and they need to do better and they need to listen to the people. If you want someone doing that, I'm your man. But if you want airs and graces, and if you want me saying please and thank you, and you want me having cups of tea with him in offices, so and maybe I can get him to do a little bit, I'm not your man. I'm a brawler. I'm a street fighter, and I'm going to fight for you. And you need to understand who you're voting for here.
Right. So you mentioned that you're not a politician. I just got a graph here of you've been running for as an independent, or maybe as a you've run for independence 3 times. You ran in
Yep.
2018 local election in Manchester, Deansgate. You ran in 2021 for Reform UK as a mayor of Greater Manchester. And then you ran again in 2022 as Manchester local election, Deansgate. And then you ran Greater Manchester mayoral candidate 2024 as an independent. You received over 50,000 votes. Great stuff. And then you ran for Oldham East 2024, the same year as an independent. And then, of course, today you're running for Gorton and Denton by-election. Somebody looking at this chart would probably say you are a politician and you've been a politician for a very long time, since 2018. What would you say to those people? Because obviously, you've just mentioned that you're not a politician and you've never been. You're a street fighter, but since 2018, you've been politically active and fighting to get in Parliament or as a councillor.
Yeah, good question. I would say I've been a wannabe politician since 2018. I've not been a politician because I've never been elected. So I think that's splitting hairs a little bit, but I get the point. So the point is, this isn't my first attempt. My point is, and to change the country, or at any level, council level, MP level, or Greater Manchester level, you have to have your hands on levers of power. And to get hands on those levers of power, you've got to be a politician. You've got to be elected. Now, I failed on the other times. Sometimes I've done okay. Sometimes I've done poorly. But that's not the problem for me. The problem for me is, it's not a problem, but the point I'm trying to make is, it's about not giving up. Nigel Farage stood for MP 7 or 8 times, lost them all, and now is an MP. If you're going to give up just because the race is hard, just because people laugh at you, just because you fail, then you're always going to fail. And I may always fail. And maybe I'll never reach to the position I want to reach. But on my deathbed, when my grandchildren say to me, Grandad, why is the country in such a mess? Why didn't you do something? At least I can say, I tried. But the public didn't vote for me. They voted for other people, better people than me, people more intelligent than me. But I tried. I put my name out there. I tried to stand up. I tried to be brave. I tried to change the country. But if the public don't want you, the public don't want you. And the public are always right, by the way. I'm not one of these who go, oh, those idiot voters didn't know how amazing I am. They should have voted for me. The public are always right when they vote.
Right. So that comment there just stuck with me, that the public is always right. Would you agree that the public is right in what Keir Starmer is doing? Because obviously they elected him.
Keir Starmer's a bit different because people didn't vote for Keir Starmer. People voted against the Tories. So Labour won by default by not being Tories. Now, many people, something like a third of people still voted for Labour.
But you have to see that before the Conservative came into power in 2010 with David Cameron, the Labour was in power for 14 years. Would you say that the public was right to keep on voting them in? And then obviously
See,
hold on,
mm,
after Labour was out when they lost the general election, and David Cameron came in, they voted for David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson,
yeah,
Liz Truss, and then obviously she did a little month of work, and and Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, I forgot as well. So would you say the public was correct in voting those guys in? Because you just made a
I would,
point that gone.
yeah, yeah. So this is complicated, but I get the point you're making. So my answer would be this: the people vote only for the people that's available, the options that are available, and people make the best decision they can at
Right.
the time with the information available.
Yeah.
In hindsight, people would go, I would change my vote if I knew then what I know now. But we
Yeah.
don't have hindsight. And what we need to be careful of, because it's very easy to do, is people like me or other politicians or people like you to look back in time and go, those people were wrong. Those people were stupid for voting that way. If only those people were like me, they would have made better decisions. That's easy with hindsight. And once we start thinking like that, the next step is those people shouldn't be able to vote because they're always making the wrong decisions. We need to start taking powers away from the people because they're always too stupid to understand what's good for them. People like me should be making their decisions for them because people like me are better, cleverer, know how they should live their lives. It's a slippery slope once we start thinking we know better than other people, because those people may have different priorities to us, may have different opinions. So if they vote for someone, we may think, well, I wouldn't vote that way. But do you know what? We're not them. We have to be careful of not being disrespectful to the voter.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I think every single person sees the world in a different way. They have different
Mm,
belief and they grew up in a different way as well. So they have a different lens than us. What's good for us could be the worst thing for them, and what's horrible for us could be the best thing that could ever happen to them. So yeah, I do agree with that. But there is sense of a lot of I think, as you already know, politics is very brutal. It's very vile in the sense where if you don't agree with somebody else's, with one party's way of going, people will attack you forever, and they'll come after
mm,
you and come after you. And I think that's why I want to transition this topic, because you've been attacked. To some extent, I see the comment and I'm like, okay, rightfully so. And some extent, I'm like, all right, that's unfair for you to say this and slander him like this. That's unfair. You made an 11-minute video addressing the topics that
mm.
addressing the things that people were saying with you about you, your late tweet, the tweets that you made before and all these sort of things. Is it okay for me to bring up a topic that
Yeah,
you, because there's a lot of things we can get to, but obviously I'm not gonna go through all your tweets. I'm not K Stammer, or I don't do tweeting police. Okay, I'm not a tweet police enforcer. But you made a tweet here which I find very for myself kind of scary
yeah.
for someone to make to say, or even I'm gonna read it out loud. I'm not sure if but I want to show the viewers on the screen as well, so then they also get what I'm seeing. Give me a second here. Now, so you made this tweet. So you said many British young women are, yeah, hoes, but God, but don't realize they are. The days of morality and decorum are over. They make poor wives, poor mothers, and they also contribute to the idea that all women are easy and can be abused. Um, this I've seen this screenshot. Obviously, you can see this is a screenshot. Obviously, I was not able to find the actual tweets, which I can see
Mm,
more context to it, seeing what you were talking about, who you were responding to, and you can tell that there's a link, there's a response link. You can see that there's a thing that you were responding to or retweeting to. Could you
yeah.
give us more context on this? Because given that you're going to be representing a lot of people, I think when people see this sort of tweets, they kind of get off guard and they're thinking, all right, what is this guy doing? Why did he say this? And then when you
Yeah,
see it, when they see the date and the date says May 2025, that's literally 10 months ago or
yeah.
9 months ago. So could you break that down for us, please, if you can, and why
Sure.
this
And
is public?
yeah, and I'm glad you raised it because that tweet out of context looks awful. What I'm discussing there is OnlyFans. What I'm discussing is the promotion of OnlyFans to our young women in our society.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago, 20, 30 years ago, that most decent people were against promoting pornography, were against prostitution, promoting it, and were against over sexualizing our girls and our young women. We've lost all that now. So there I'm discussing about how every week there's a national newspaper doing a story about, oh, this secretary, this police officer, this businesswoman has now given her job up and now she's an OnlyFans model. They're not models, they're prostitutes. And we keep promoting this to our young women and it's damaging them and it's killing some of them. And I've spent my life trying to protect girls and women. And I'm not going to sit back and watch the over sexualization and the prostitution of them without speaking up. Everybody else seems to be in favor of prostitution, seems to be in favor of OnlyFans. Let me make it perfectly clear. I'm not. And I'm going to speak out about it. And let me give you a couple of examples here because some people, older Bill, you've got a younger audience. So let me give you two examples. The first example is Coronation Street. There's an actress, former actress in Coronation Street called Helen Flanagan. She married a footballer. She's not in Coronation Street anymore now.
Yeah.
And she's wrote about when she was 16 years old, Coronation Street over sexualized her on the screen. They had her with her underwear on. Every picture, she had loads of cleavage. She was 16 years old. And the storyline was her having an affair with her school teacher. And in real life, the actor was 37, 38 years old. They're having to kiss on screen using tongues, all acting. And he was a nice guy. He's not a perv. He's acting. She's
Right.
16. And she said that's damaged her. And she over sexualizes herself now all the time because that's all she knows how to do. And she blames Coronation Street for doing it to her when she was 16.
Yeah.
That's wrong, and we should have stopped that. Another example would be Britney Spears. Britney Spears now is she's at a breakdown because she's been sexualized since she was 16,
Yeah.
and we've damaged her. And
Yeah.
all the
Really bad.
feminists and all the girls would be clapping, going, "You go, girl, strong, independent woman." I'm going, "No, you're not when you're a prostitute. Let's stop turning our women into prostitutes. It's not a lot to ask." And there's that many porn stars online on YouTube, former porn stars who have done videos crying, "I'm sorry I've did it." All that's online now forever.
Yeah.
My
Yeah. Once you
children,
post it, yes.
my children are at school coming home crying, saying, "My friends have seen my mum doing the most horrendous things." Some of
Oh
them are
yeah.
saying, "I'm not having children." They're on antidepressants. They've got, they're all messed up. So I'm trying to have that conversation. I'm trying to out that. I'm trying to protect women and girls in my country. And guess who the baddie is? I'm the baddie. I'm the sexist pig. I'm this, I'm that, for trying to protect girls and trying to protect young women in my country. And they've
But
politicized this now.
yeah, of course, as you already know, uh, this is how politics works. It was important for
Yeah,
me to, to get more context to it because, of course, this is the first time I think this is the second time we spoke because we spoke last time in real life, but we didn't get enough
yeah,
time. But when tweets like that come out, you're thinking, hey, is that the guy who I was literally talking to? Is this what he thinks? And I think those are important. These are important questions to ask because when
yeah,
voters
of
see
course.
these tweets, because there is a lot of girls in Gorton. I mean, I've gone to Gorton before. I mean, Gorton was a place where I used to chill. So when young girls see this thing, they won't even want to listen to you because obviously looking at that without any context, you instantly think this guy is obviously a horrible person. So that's good that we clear that out. Now, there's a lot of people who are running in in Gorton, not just yourself. There is obviously yourself, Nick Buckley. There is Mark Goodwin, who's obviously famously
Mm,
known for joining Reform UK and turning from a professor to become a guy who now wants to run. There's Hannah Spencer, who has made a lot of noise on TikTok. Uh, there's Jackie Pearson, Sebastian Moore, who you were with a couple of days
mm.
ago from the Social Democratic Party. Now, what is that you have that set you apart from all these people? Because I'm sure somebody will be watching this from Gorton thinking, hey, Barack, I don't know what's going on. I don't have enough time to research and watch every single interview of these guys go on.
Yeah.
Could you ask the question if these guys are, that what sets them apart from,
Mm.
what sets you apart from the other guys, so then they can kind of trust your word and see what they will take from that?
Sure. So for me, it's two things. The first thing about me is I'm local, lived and raised in Gorton and alongside. So I know the area, I know the streets, I know the people. I've got siblings, parents, I've got cousins and aunties all living in the area, and many, many friends over decades and decades. I'm from that area. Many of these people running have all been parachuted in, who don't know the area. It's just the next stage for them. Now, being local is extremely important, but it doesn't matter if you're local if you've not got a plan. I've got a plan for this. And some of the other candidates have got plans, but their plans are national. The Green Party will be talking about net zero. We need to do more for net zero. Matt Goodwin is saying, if I win, it's going to force Keir Starmer to resign, and it won't. But no one's talking about local issues. I've got a 5-point plan here. On day one, if I'm elected, I'm going to set up on day one a local grooming gang inquiry to find out what went on with our children in that area, who
Right.
covered it up, who knew about it. And if we get names of people, I'm going to publicly name and shame those officers, those council staff, those former politicians in the area who did nothing. So I'm there protecting your kids from day one. Point number two, we've talked about it, knife crime. I'm going to fund an anti-knife crime project because I don't need 96 grand to live on. We're going to work on those streets, taking knives off the streets and making sure kids are safe, because I don't want your kids dying. It sounds weird saying it, but I don't want your kids dead. So I'm going to do my best on that. The third point is I'm sick of the councils wasting your money, wasting my money. So I'm going to hold the councils to account. We're going to set up that hotline where council staff can report wasting incompetence, and I'll go public. I'll go to the press. I'll mention it in Parliament, and we'll embarrass the councils to do better. To do better, because they work for us. They're public servants. They're not our masters. They're not our overlords.
Right.
And then when it comes to the police, every month I'm going to get a senior police officer to come to a public meeting where anyone in the area can just turn up, and we're going to get updates off the police. What are your priorities? What are you doing about burglary in this area? What are you doing about that? Why is this getting worse? Why is knife crime getting worse? And not speaking to a PCSO or a sergeant. I'm talking about a chief inspector. I'm talking about a superintendent, because they're the ones who make the policies, and we need to hold them accountable because they seem to have forgotten they work for us.
That's right.
They seem to think they're our guards. They seem to think now they're the Gestapo, the Stasi, the Checker, and
Yeah.
we will do as are told. No, you've got this wrong, mate. You'll do as you're told. We'll tell you what our priorities are. We'll tell you how to fix the burglaries. We'll tell you where you need to patrol to make our lives better. I want to flip the tables on the police because they need to do better. And the final point is, if I'm doing that to the police and the councils, who's doing that to me? I could be full of it. I could
Yeah.
take this job for 3-4 years, 96 grand. Jobs are good and nothing you can do now. So I'm going to do 10 public meetings every single year where anyone can turn up and hold me accountable. You can ask me questions. Nick, why did you vote this way in Parliament? Why are you not in Parliament? I never see you in my area. Where are you? What are you going to do about this? And I want the people of the area to hold me accountable, because it's not good enough that they have to wait 2 or 3 years to have their say on me. They need to be having their say on me almost monthly to make sure I'm doing what they want me to do, because I'm a public servant. And unless they hold me to account, I might get lazy. I might
Yeah.
get
True.
corrupted. Power corrupts. They
Mm-hmm.
need to hold me to be the best MP I can be.
That's right.
And all those things I've mentioned, I can do with no extra money, no support of the police, no support of the council, no support of parliament. I can do all those things with hard work, grit, determination. So that's what I'm promising the people. I'm not promising pie in the sky. We're going to build a new hospital. We're going to build new roads. I can't promise any of that. I can try, but I can't promise. But I can promise those 5 things with my hand on my heart. I'll deliver all those 5.
Yeah, so much conviction there, which of course a lot of followers, a lot of voters will probably connect to that because there's been a trend of politicians promising the world, politician promising them everything. Nowadays, there's a politician, well, wanna be, well, not a politician, but used to be a professor, but he's promising that once they win, Keir Starmer will resign. And Keir Starmer today was meant to resign, but he said, "Hey, I'm not resigning." So I guess Jeffrey Epstein won't make him resign. Peter Mendelsohn won't make him resign. All these chief of staff won't make him resign. I guess Gorton will make him resign. Somebody might say I resist to that argument, but yeah, could you tell me more about the because there's something that you reposted recently, and I kind of agree with it, but I don't know if you actually stand on it. Because a lot of people who are from Advanced UK are obviously reposting stuff, and I think sometimes you like and you also repost it, and maybe you like the idea of it, but it's not your plan. Now, this is something that you reposted recently. Is this a part of your campaign, and is this a part of what you want to do with the family?
This is part of our national policy. Advance
Right,
UK have announced national policy. So that's what this is.
right.
This is what I want, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't promise this if you elect me as an MP,
Yeah,
because we would need to be in government to
yeah, for that.
promise those things. So I'm not promising people that. I'm saying these are the things we agree with. So if I can push those sort of policies in Parliament, I'll push them sort of policies, but I can't make those promises because we're not in government.
Right, right. Well, maybe I was misled because it said local candidate for Gorton and Denton.
Yep. So I support those things, and if the government, Labour government, is pushing one of those things, I'm voting for it. I'm not going to
Yeah,
be one of those MPs that always votes against the government because we hate the government. If the government puts something forward that I think is good, I'll be voting for it. If Reform puts something I think is good, I'll vote for it. So
yeah,
it's about doing the right thing. It's not about playing politics.
yeah. So it's not about just making your name and getting the pictures and getting your recognition. It's about whatever is right for the country you support, even if the party won't get recognized for it. I think that
Yeah.
is something that we need in Parliament. A lot of people will, we see when the Conservative Party were in power, the grooming gang, they wanted to cover it up because they didn't want to seem incompetent that it took place and they didn't do anything. So they cover it up. Now Labour Party is in. Obviously, they don't want people to know because people will find out that they did something wrong and they didn't look at it properly. So now they're covering
Yeah.
it up. So it's like everybody's just it's just looking after their party rather than looking after the people that they promised that they were going to protect, which is kind of like insane. But now here's a lot of criticism that a lot of people have thrown at you, that you have run for Reform UK, Independent, and now obviously you've gone for pie and pie and pie. Not many pie, but you've run it as an independent all the time.
Mm.
It looks like you like doing independent stuff, and obviously you run with Reform UK a couple times, and today you're running with Advance UK. I mean,
Yeah.
why Advance UK? Why not Reform, since Reform is creating a lot of momentum? And I'm not pitching for Reform. I've not
Yeah.
spoken to any reformers. I kind of do not like the way they're going, but it's just a way to just put it out there because I believe the reason why Matt Goodwin is running for Denton and Gorton is because he can say he grew up in Manchester, which obviously his accent doesn't really sound Mancunian to me, to be fair. It sounds a little bit posh to be from Manchester. And not that
He,
we don't sound
he,
posh over here, but
he's not from Manchester. His grandparents were from Salford. So he grew up down south.
yeah,
He's a southern posh boy. We've got to start telling the truth. That doesn't
yeah,
mean he's
but
a bad person, but I like lots of things he says, but he's a southern posh boy.
now, so why advance UK? Because obviously this is a big
Yeah.
horse that's growing fast. This is a horse that's running. This is a big boss that's breaking
Yeah.
things and moving fast. Advance UK with obviously Ben Habib, and you've
Yeah.
chose to back and represent this party. Why this party?
Let me start why not reform. So why I left reform. I left reform because it's a dictatorship. You can have no say in reform. Nigel Farage has a say over everything. It's purely a dictatorship. Now, the smart move for me would have been to keep my mouth shut, stand for them as an MP, maybe win at the general election, or maybe they would have put me up in Gorton and Denton, and I'd been an MP, as I was told I could have £96,000 a year. That would have been a nice life. Not much hard work because I'd do nothing. Expenses paid to London all the time. That would have been a fantastic life. But do you know what? Doesn't improve the country, does it? So I left Reform because Reform are not good enough. Reform are turning into a different version of Labour and the Conservatives. Reform are full of Tories.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we just like the Tories?
Right.
So then I left Reform and wasn't going to join any more parties. I thought, I've had enough now. I'll stick with Independent. And then Ben Habib set up Advance UK. And I looked at it and I thought, this looks a lot better. And if I want to win an election, I'm going to need a party behind me and I'm going to need some money. Because when I ran for mayor as an independent, I had to take £25,000 out of my pension to fund the campaign. And I can't afford to do that again. So I then said, maybe Advance UK. And I thought, well, I need to speak to Ben. I didn't know the man, never spoken to him. So I wrote to him and said, will you come on my podcast? I want to talk to you about me maybe joining Reform, but I've got a load of questions first. And he said, yeah. So he came on, we spoke for an hour and I went through all my points. This is important to me. That's important to me. This is important. And he answered them all. And I realized at the end of the interview, we're on the same page of everything here. So I said to him at the end of the interview, this interview, I'm joining Advance UK. So I joined. So I joined the party. Then this by-election was sprung upon us. And Ben Habib said, Nick, would you run on our behalf? And I said, I'd love to. And that's why I've picked Advance UK.
Right. Okay. So it was more of like there was no place for you then, in a sense where every single party was not the one for you. Because obviously, maybe the Tory, you didn't look at the Tory, no? And it looked like Advance.
Maybe I looked at the phone because they were different.
Let me just ask it this way. Advance UK came at the right time when the country needed it the most, and you were there, and that's why you're representing it. Is that a fair assessment to have?
It's spot on.
All right, perfect. Just wanted to kind of understand, because there's a lot of people who have an opinion about people who join parties, and oftentimes those opinions are never dispute, and people just take it as like facts. And it's good that you've just cleared that out. Now, here's a question I want to ask you before we move into the questions that the viewers might have. So what's because I've not been in Gorton for, I don't travel that much. I've not gone to Gorton since 2024, 3. Yeah, that's how. Don't go there anymore. There's a lot of There's a lot of perceived problems. One might say it's a little bit scary. For me, going there, I never used to go there alone. There's a lot of youth who have a lot of energy and they will do anything to that they consider fun, and usually it's like too violent. There's a lot of the area. Most of the area are not clean, in a sense where there's too many things outside. You can see beds outside and all these crazy stuff outside. I don't know if you know, but when you walk around Gorton, you kind of see that a lot. So that needs obviously taken care of. But what from what you've seen and from what you obviously you have more data than me on this topic, what would you say is the most urgent issue that Denton and Gorton is facing, that National Party have been ignoring for a very long time? And could you get on that for me, please? Because
Yeah. So let's split the area in two. Let's talk about Gorton and then let's talk about Denton, because they've got two different areas and two different priorities. And the priorities I'm talking about will be what people have been telling me over the last week or two. So in Gorton, you're spot on. People in Gorton are telling me their priority is rubbish, grime, dirty streets, and dog poo. That's their number one priority. They said the place is dirty. It's always dirty. And if the council ever clean it up, it's dirty again days and weeks later. And many people are saying it never used to be like that. It was a much nicer area. And the dirt, the grime, the mess, the fly tipping, the dog poo, graffiti, that's their number one issue. Now, that's a council issue. So we need the council to do better. We need the council cleaning up more, moving resources from one place that no one cares about and moving them to cleaning up the streets in Gorton. And we'll do that by embarrassing the leaders of Manchester Council. When it comes to Denton, people I'm speaking to in Denton, their two priorities, and that came about equal, speaking to people, is mass immigration and the grooming gang scandal. Right. That's what people are telling me on the street, that their concerns. The grooming gang scandal, I can do something about from day one, because I'm going to launch a local inquiry. We're going to have people speaking to victims and we're going to be investigating all that. The mass migration problem is a national problem. Only governments can deal with that. Not much I can do there.
Yeah, true. Obviously, the grooming gang is something that you can touch on a little bit, but obviously you can't go full on, since K Starmer is holding on hard to his resources, and he can't resources that we obviously pay him to have. Now we got a couple questions, but obviously before we wrap up, I think we got like 20 minutes, so maybe we can get a couple questions from the viewers. But one question that just came through, it says, please, will he try and end the horrific universal credit and try to allow legacy benefits to exist?
You can hear me, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Should I try again? Hello? All right, hold on. I think it's frozen. Give me a second, folks. I think we've lost the signal's dropping again. I think we've lost him. Hold on, let me just give him a text. Folks, can you guys hear me? Put some W's in the chat. Can you guys hear me? It's been very the signal's gone again. I don't know what's going on. Something has been done on the back end. I'm not sure, but so he's frozen. Can you guys hear me? All right, okay, you can hear me. All right, W's in the chat. All right, cool. Somebody asked, what does W's in the chat mean? I think it means winning. I think it means winning. Oh God. Folks, it's not easy to do this. the sick. I generally think something is being done in the background, and maybe this might be conspiracy or something, but I think something is happening to the stream because everything is so smooth. We got the strongest Wi-Fi in Manchester. I can brag about that. We got the strongest Wi-Fi in Manchester, but somehow something is going on, and it's just it is it. You know what it's doing? It's stopping the recording, and then it's stopping the stream. I don't know what's going on. Something is happening, bro, because we're sending a clear signal to YouTube, and then YouTube probably rejects it, and then it says that. So don't know what's going on. All right, it's back on. It's back. I'm gonna explain to you what's going on. I hope I'm wrong, but I think something is being done in the background. But let's get him back again. Hello.
Hello, I'm back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on today. The live stream is just this is the third time this has happened. Not with you, but it's
Yeah,
happened twice in two streams that we did 2 weeks
no.
ago. And then it's happening today as well. We invested more into it so then we can like fix this. But now it's still happening. So I think something is being done in the background that we have no control over. So but I hope we can carry on. But here's a question that I think you probably didn't get to hear properly. So one of our moderators have sent in a question, and she says, "Will you please try and end the horrific universal credit and try to allow legacy benefits to exist and remain?"
Um, I would have to have a look into exactly what she means. But again, only a national government can implement such changes. As a single MP, I would have no say, no power. It's a government. Only a government can mess around with the benefit system.
Right. Yeah, true. Only the government, the home office, and all the people can play around
Mm,
with. Yeah, makes sense. Here's another one that just came through from Howie. Would Nick look into more opportunity for adults to further their knowledge and education? Dot apprenticeships for adults, but more beneficial pay. So that's the
Um,
question. So I'm assuming it's more to see if adults can get back into schools without having to pay, without having to go. I think more without having to go private in the sense
yeah.
of like investing so much money to just keep their knowledge active. But I think you
Mm.
understand the question.
Yeah, absolutely. We need a lot more of that. We've got nearly 10 million people claiming some sort of unemployment benefit or work benefit. We've got far too many people out of work, far too many young people out of work.
Right.
And what we need to move away from what we used to do, which is sending everybody to university and everyone to college. We need to be highlighting and giving options to young people saying, I don't want to go to university. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a bricklayer. I want to be, electrician. I don't need to do A levels. I don't need to go to university. And for adults, it's really important that there's many opportunities for adults to retrain because we're going to lose loads of jobs over the next few years with technology in AI. And what we can't do, because we did this in the 80s when we closed down the mining, the coal mines, is we just dumped hundreds of thousands of people onto the dole and left them there. What we need to do now is make sure when jobs are disappearing because of technology, we need to be doing retraining opportunities paid for by the state so those people can retrain and go into a different career, a different path in life. We've got to learn from what we did in the 80s, which is mass unemployment and just dumping people on benefits for the rest of their life, because that's what
Y-
we did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's quite sad because you handicap them in the sense where now they become more of a child to the government rather than more competent to them, that they can actually go
Yeah.
out there and still compete and win in life. But when you give them benefits, it's more like, hey, you can chill here and get something sorted for you, which obviously leads to a
Yeah.
lot of homelessness when the government doesn't come into come into their aid. at the right time, it leads more into wrong financial choices because obviously there's no that sweat and blood to get the money.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
always you always have a good financial mind when you know how you got your money, but when you're just sitting there and it's coming every month or every week, however way you get it every year, you don't know who's paying. It's just coming,
Mm.
so you think you can just spend it and you're gonna get it again. So there's no that sweat like, all right, I'm not gonna spend too much because I gotta go back to work. I know how hard it is to get it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
no, but I wanna there's a follow-up question on that when it comes to trying to end the horrific universal credit and trying to allow legacy benefits to exist and remain. There's a follow-up question. You mentioned that you don't know, you're not sure, you don't have one for that, and if you do, it would have
Mm.
to be at a national level when you are in government. Does Advance have any sort of policies on that? What does Advance
We've not,
stand on?
we've not got because we're only 2 months old. We've just announced some policies over the weekend, but benefits in the welfare state is a policy we'll probably be launching probably towards the end of the year. So we will look at that then.
Right. Perfect. Now, just quick one. You mentioned, I think you spoke a lot. You spoke about social media. I think that's what the chat is talking about right now.
Yeah.
But the reason why I think is relevant to well, I think we can talk about social media is because you mentioned that when you're addressing the tweets that you post a long time ago,
Mm.
you mentioned that there's a lot of this OnlyFans going on, which obviously social media. There's a lot of apps
Mm.
which have encouraged young girls and young men, and not just but just women and men in the society
Mm.
that social media is the way out now, where the traditional feminine side, this traditional masculine side has been taken away, and we've brought in this new moral of a way of living.
Mm.
Could you talk more into that? Because a lot of people are saying social media needs to go. Not a lot. Some people are just they're debating what social
Yeah.
media should be like. Do you have any sort of opinion or any sort of policies that you think Advance has, or that they have, how they will be addressing this problem that we have, which is a lot of people now do not socially interact anymore because
Mm.
they rather just do it online. They rather just stay at home. They rather just get it
Yeah.
online, right? And we've lost that sense of connection to the neighbors.
Yeah. We haven't got policies on that yet, but I can tell you what I think and
Right.
what I think needs to be done. So the cat's out the bag. We're not going to stop social media. We're not going to turn off the internet.
I hope not.
That isn't good. Exactly. That's not going to happen. And what I don't want is I don't want the government interfering in our lives, even if they think they're doing the right thing. So I don't want the government to ban OnlyFans, even though I'm against OnlyFans. I don't want to ban OnlyFans because if they ban OnlyFans, 2 years later, they may want to ban Rumble. They may want to ban YouTube. So if we start giving them power to ban things, they'll use it against us.
That's
What
right.
we need to do is, as a nation, we need to find our morality. That's what we need to do. We keep blaming social media, we keep blaming other people, but the real blame is within us, every single one of us. We're the people who are lax. We're the people who don't want to take personal responsibility. We're the people making the wrong choices. We're the people who are not holding our family and friends and children to account.
Right.
We're the the porn star, the OnlyFans model Bonnie Blue slept with 1,000 men in 24 hours.
Yeah, insane.
Her manager is her mum.
Wait, what?
Her mum is her manager.
So the
Yeah,
person who manages her mom, like
is
real
her
mother.
mum. Yeah. So we need to do
Really?
better as we need to do better as parents. We need to stop pimping out our daughters and our children to make money for us. We need to have their best interest at heart. And that's how we start. And then again, we need more churches. We need more community events. We need people to form communities because at the moment we're all insular. That's why we have our lives online. And we're social creatures at the end of the day. We need company. If we're going to live happy lives, we need company. That's why something like 20% of all women in the UK are on antidepressants. 20%.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's not a good sign that we're happy. 5,000 men every year in the UK kill themselves.
Yeah,
5,000 men. We're
yeah.
not happy. And
Mm.
until we address that, until we start coming together around churches, around community clubs, around, youth centres, whatever it is, we need to start bonding. We need to start working together. We need to start putting our communities first. And we need to stop being old selfish Nick 30 years ago. And we need to start saying to ourselves, the community comes first. I come
That's right.
second or third.
That's
And we
right.
need to
That's right.
do that as a nation.
That's right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. In the sense where uh we can't be banning stuff. We can't be banning. Although I don't
No,
like OnlyFans, I don't think we should start banning, because as soon as we start banning, where else that the government, will not ban? They might
exactly.
want. They've
Exactly.
tried to ban X. They're literally investigating X. Once they banned X, where are you gonna? I think X and maybe Facebook a little bit, but not too much. It's probably one of the place where you feel. It's probably like a place where you feel like you're in a pub where you can say anything that you want.
Mm,
Um, but once they remove that, since we don't do social, we don't interact socially outside anymore. Since
mm.
obviously a lot of pubs have been closing, and if they remove X, I mean, where will we be? Are we gonna just tune into GB News? Are we gonna just tune into
Yeah,
to shows who are owned by people who also don't have the best interests at heart for us? So that's the thing. That's the thing. But it's been very, very good talking to you, Nick. I think since you're in Manchester, I'm in Manchester as well. I think we should link up one time, and we can do something, in real life as well.
yeah,
What do you
sure.
say with that? I think
Yeah,
that'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
cool.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Perfect. Now, a viewer who has been very, very engaging in the chat has a question. I think is important. I asked
Yeah.
you this question. So he's I think out of everybody in the chat, he's been a guy who has supported you throughout the chat. I have to say, and it is asking more from you. He wants more
Mm.
from you. He wants you to win. He's a super advanced UK member, I believe. No, he's asking whether if Tommy Robinson will come out to your aid in a sense where they will push you further, because Tommy Robinson endorsed Mark Goodwin, maybe because
Yeah.
obviously you were not there, your name was
Yeah.
not there yet. But obviously, as you already know, it's very hard to take endorsement back, because obviously it shows people that you're not, you're making reckless. I mean, you're
Mm.
jumping ships all the time, and especially when it's like a by-election, somebody to be an MP, you can't just be switching aside, and you confuse
Mm.
your followers. Does Advance UK or yourself think or believe that Tommy Robinson might come out in support of yourself to win the by-election in
I'm
Gorton?
I'm hopeful.
Right,
Tommy Robinson knows of me. We've chatted a few times.
right,
Um, Tommy Robinson is his own man. Tommy Robinson will make the decisions that Tommy Robinson think is best, as we all should be doing. There's no point following people blindly just because you're on their same side or the same party. We all need to critical think about what's the best for ourselves and our country. I'm hoping Tommy Robinson does come out and support me. We've got a lot in common, when it comes to the grooming gangs. He's been proven right on many, many things. And Reform don't even want him. Reform don't even like him. It's something I hope that happens, but no one's going to pressure Tommy Robinson to make change his mind. Only he can change his mind with different information, and we'll wait and see.
perfect. Now, just so I let you go, because obviously you got a lot of things to do. Everybody wants your attention, and I'm really thankful for
Yeah.
the last 2 hours we've spent together. Any message for the viewers at home who will be receiving this? Still standing on the fence, still not convinced,
Mm.
still thinking that you running is a way to split the vote and give the Green or the Labour Party another chance. Those guys who are
Yeah.
very critical on you, is there any? And also those guys who also love you so much that they don't wanna, they do not criticize or look at any other way
Yeah.
of what you do. Is there any message for those guys, those two groups that I just mentioned? The ones who are
Yeah.
super fans where they think everything is nice and everything's going to be easy and you're going to just go in and win. And then these guys who think you running is like the worst thing and the country will be blown up, Russia will come in, Hitler will be back, or some, however bad you want to make it. Yeah. Any message for those two groups?
Yeah, let's start with the latter first. So if Reform win, it makes no difference. Reform have 9 MPs instead of 8 MPs, and they can do nothing, just like they could do nothing with 8 MPs.
Right.
If the Greens win, they will have 5 seats instead of 4 seats, and they can do just as little, which is nothing, as they could with 4 seats, with 5 seats. It changes nothing in the country because Labour have a super majority. They've got 200 majority. It makes no difference. The only thing it makes a difference is to Gorton and Denton. So the question you need to ask yourself is, who's going to improve Gorton and Denton has the best chance of doing it? It's not Parliament and it's not the council, it's the MP. Which MP do you think is going to work the hardest, knows the area best, and is a street fighter and is going to fight to get you the best deal that they can? That's what you need to think about. Everything else is just playing political football at this by-election because nothing changes the day after this election nationally. Nothing changes.
Right.
And for the people who like me and support me, I think what I'd say to them is the 5-point plan. You know, you've seen the 5-point plan that I promised I'm going to deliver. It's all achievable. There's nothing crazy there that can't be done. And if we achieve those 5 things, Gorton and Denton will be a better place to live. And if we can achieve these things here, other people around the country will go, why won't my MP give me a local grooming gang inquiry? Why won't my MP fund an anti-knife crime project? Why won't my MP hold the police accountable? If I can do it here, we can open the floodgates to start changing the country at a local level.
Nick, it's been amazing talking to you. I can't wait till we see each other and maybe we can do something in real life in Manchester. But thank you so much for coming on. The last 2 hours have been amazing. Even though they tried to shut you down, they tried to remove your fear. I think they removed it. They removed you once, and obviously we had a second time, which it went wrong again. But yeah, they shut down the channel in a sense where the system that the server that we're sending through the channel so people can receive the good quality video that we're doing right now obviously crashed. YouTube might be in favor of that, given that once we came back, we basically have 20% of the view that we had at the start, which is like, okay, it's a win for them, I guess. But despite all that, you still gave my time. You still gave your time here. You were patient, and you waited, and it looks more. It's for me. It's very, for me, how I see that is, it shows that you're not just trying to just get your words out and go, but you actually want to spend time. You actually want to talk, and despite everything that might happen in between, you'll still be around and have a conversation. And I find that very genuine. So thank you so much. And of course, I wish you all the best looks. Go out there, and of course, the people in the chat will be rooting for you while you're out there smashing the doors and winning the hearts and the mind of the people. Thank you so much for coming on, Nick. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. And let's do this again soon.
Let's do it. Thank you so much. All right, folks. You heard it here. That is Nick Buckley. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can comment down below. I'm sure he's going to be generous enough to come in the chat and go back and forth with you guys through your comments. But it's been amazing having you guys on. I know we had a little bit hiccup. The thing went down, then we came back up. Then we had a little. I mean, this is YouTube, folks. We just have to keep pushing. They've been doing this for over a year now, but we're gonna keep pushing anyway. But thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, without further ado, hand to the head, salute. Bye bye. Thank you so much. You've been silenced for very long, and every time you try to resist, they put you in jail.
For my children.
You've controlled your mind for so long to the point where you let them decide what your kids should learn, what gender they will be. And now you've let them to come for the whole nation, destroying what Britain once stood up for. They use this media machine not to report the facts to you, but to tell you what to think and what you should do.
Always be careful.
They're hiding the facts behind the noise, and they're recruiting pedophiles to tell you how to behave. And these politicians who meant to protect you, they're out there smashing your head on the ground. And no jail time for them. This road we've been on has been very dark for a very long time, and it's time to shine a light on the truth and advocate for justice. We the people make the nation, and if we don't stand up and advocate for justice, then we certainly won't make this nation great again. So we have to create a place for that, a place that can contribute to a more informed society. And that place is Next Frontier Media. Attention, attention, attention. This is not just a normal t-shirt. This is your battle armor in this war against lies and manipulation and deception. And when you wear this t-shirt, you are not just making a statement, you are drawing a line in the sand. And you're saying, I will not be silenced, I will not be bought, and I will not be steered. Every thread in this t-shirt screams defiance. Every letter of I found the truth, not propaganda. Or maybe every letter of the nation needs to know is a rally cry out for independent thinkers, disruptors, the people who refuse to bend to the mainstream media narrative. We need your fund, and this is your chance to stand up, to speak out and fund the fight for the truth. Don't just wear it like a regular t-shirt. You have to live it. The nation needs to know you're gonna live it. Yes, please. I need you to fuel the resistance. Be the reason why the truth survive in this country. Please get yours at thebarakashow.com, and thank you so much for keeping us on air. Thank you.
In the shadow of the digital gulag, we fire up the truth cannon and blast through the lies.
And the show host, Baraka Amuri.